Hey, everyone. Welcome into the Voice of College Football, GBR. We apologize a number of times this week. Apologize that the other night on our regular show time of Tuesday at 7 Eastern and 6 Central Time, we had to cancel last minute on that one. So my apologies on that one. Greg was working his regular job at Husker Online and had a number of commitments and obligations that came up last minute, and we had to cancel that one last minute. On Tuesday, we rescheduled for today at 5 Eastern, 4 Central. It's about 20 after right now. My apologies. Hopefully Greg's doing just fine. Hopefully everything's fine with him. Not able to get in touch with him. So hopefully, once again, everything's okay. We're going to run through the news of the week is what we're going to do. And then we're also going to take your calls. I've left a link in the live chat. We've yet to do this on this particular show, but if you follow me on the main channel on the Voice of College Football, we do this on a regular basis where we take your calls. So we will do that concerning Nebraska football here in just a minute. Again, you just need to grab the link. It's in the chat. And you can turn off your camera if you don't want to be on video. That's quite all right. And we can make it just like a call-in show, or certainly you can use your video. We would love to see you as well. So Husker fans, other college football fans that want to talk Nebraska football, of course, we're just going to talk Nebraska football. And again, our apologies. We have done this 108 consecutive weeks, and we have nailed that Tuesday night slot each and every time. However, this week, unfortunately, again, Greg had something pop up last second that caused a cancellation on Tuesday. Then we had a situation today where we hope Greg's okay. And we're going to run down. There were 3 commitments this weekend, really over the past week, that we'll get to first and foremost. So first and foremost, we get to those before anything else. And we're going to go to the on-3 listing here of the 3 hard commits that just came in this past week. So we've got Demetrius Bell. It's Demetrius Bell, 6 flat 175 out of Nashville, Tennessee. There you see his state ranking, 14th in the state of Tennessee. Played some good high school football in Tennessee based on my contacts, based on the people that I listen to. Better football playing in Tennessee in years. The high school football in Tennessee has improved considerably, especially there in Nashville out of McGavock High School. 72nd rated player at his position, a wide receiver in the nation, top 500 player as well. So Demetrius Bell, if you've seen him play, can you add anything to our conversation here on Demetrius Bell? Also, Ishmael Smith Flores, a tight end out of Arlington, Texas, 6'5", 210. And, of course, the Texas talent is deep. So 137th rated player in the Lone Star State, 46th at his position nationally, and number 816 according to the composite of everyone put together. His highest state ranking is number 83. He probably ranks that low in the state because there's one particular service that does not have him ranked in the state. He's number 83, 106, and 170 in the other 3 rankings. And in looking at Demetrius Bell, he's as high as 6th in the state of Tennessee, according to one particular service. Then you got Jeremiah Charles, another wide receiver coming in out of Martin High School. They're in Arlington, Texas as well. So 2 competing high schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Arlington, Texas. And, of course, if you follow the NFL, you recall that the old Cowboys Stadium was in Arlington, Texas. Jeremiah Charles is at 6'2", 170 according to On3, and he has no current ranking. That doesn't mean he's a no-star. So to be clear about that, that does not mean that he is not ranked highly, will not be ranked. He is a 3-star, but the rankings reset will come on Jeremiah Charles and others here soon. So all three of those players came in for Matt Rule on January 23rd or 24th. And then, of course, the big news this week is that Eric Gilbert, the former LSU tight end, is Lincoln bound. The former LSU tight end, Eric Gilbert, caught 35 passes, 2 touchdowns in his freshman season of 2020. He was the highest ranked tight end in the nation. Eric Gilbert in 2020 going to LSU. He had a number of off-field issues and incidents. I don't want to judge those in any such way. There's a lot of rumors out there, a lot of conjecture about exactly what those were. Those could be in the area of academics. Those could be domestic issues. Those could be otherwise behavioral and so forth. But Eric Gilbert chose to transfer to the University of Florida. And he was only there for about 3 to 4 weeks in the winter of, it must have been early 2021 at Florida. Didn't play for the Gators, didn't suit up for the Gators, nothing at Florida, because then he turned around and he opted to leave Florida and landed at Georgia. If you know anything about Georgia football, of course, as the defending 2-time national champions, they have a player at Brock Bowers who's one of the best, probably the best tight end in college football. And Darnell Washington's a monster as their backup tight end. Eric Gilbert only caught a couple passes this past season, not due to a lack of talent, because he is loaded. And again, he was a freshman All-American and honorable mention All-SEC in his freshman season, true freshman season of 2020, 35 catches, 2 touchdowns. Eric Gilbert, the big find this week for Nebraska football and Matt Rule. All right, good to hear from Cole today. Cole, great to be here and great to be with you, and thank you so much for joining us. And again, we apologize for the truncated show of sorts. Hopefully Greg is doing just fine and everything's okay there. I'm not able to get in touch with him right now. Cole is reporting that 9 staff members are visiting Dylan Raiola today. Dylan Raiola, of course, Ohio State commit, now decommit, and his commitment is wide open. Excuse me. You got to think that it is key as to how well Nebraska performs on the field this year to show Dylan Raiola that they've got an offense that is going to suit him well, that is going to be an offense that is going to fit him well, that is going to surround him with the kind of talent, and he's going to be able to produce the kind of numbers and showcase his abilities and stay healthy. That's also a consideration. It's not just, I want to fit into a great offense to show myself off for personnel managers in the NFL. It's, I want to stay healthy. So offensive line play and the combination of offensive line play and skill position players performing are going to be huge. And again, we're going to go with Cole saying his dad said a commitment is most likely coming in March. Don't know if that came through social media or otherwise. I have left a link in the live chat so you can join us here at the Voice of College Football. There's a link in the live chat. You can join us. We'll be on until a few minutes to 6 Eastern. We're coming up against another show. Our Iowa Hawkeyes live show is coming up at 6 Eastern time. So join us there, Nebraska fans. We know you hate the Hawkeyes, but that's a good way to catch up on the enemy. Iowa live tonight at 6. Much like Nebraska, we've got an Iowa show on Tuesdays that had to be moved to Friday this week. Cole, thank you so much for the contribution. We appreciate that. They're working. And this is quite a bit of activity for a college football team considering the early signing period. So if you follow other programs and other teams, you see uh, less activity than this uh, in player commitments for the 2023 class because most of these are locked up. If you look at the top 100 players on 247's list, top 100 players, 96 are signed. There's only 4 left out there. And if you look at the top 300 players, there's only about 10, maybe something in that range that are unsigned. So to be able to come up with 3 more commitments is big for Matt Rule. And you can see that he's featuring the wide receiver position. And as Greg and I have talked about in recent weeks, speed is on Matt Rule's agenda. That's his priority list. It starts with speed, and he's got what you would think to be some high end speed here. 3 stars. That's not going to necessarily. That's not necessarily going to wow a lot of people. Although Demetrius Bell's composite there is a 4-star ranking. Actually, a 3 stars, the composite for Demetrius Bell, but one of the services has him rated as a 4-star, and they like him quite a bit. And this shows you the discrepancies between the services right here. And I don't know, I would have to go to the top of the listing to see who is who here. There we go. On 3 is the first column, followed by 247 Sports, then ESPN, then Rivals. So let's look at this. So we basically have on 3 is super high on Demetrius Bell, 6th rated in the state compared to 247 Sports, 20th rated in the state, ESPN at 23rd in the state, and Rivals also likes him as a top 10 player in the state. But there's quite a discrepancy there on Demetrius Bell when you look at 6th rated player in the state or the 23rd rated player in the state by ESPN. Ishmael Smith Flores, his rankings in the state of Texas go all the way from number 83 in the state to number 170 in the state. And then Rivals has nothing on him right now. So they've got to rank him. And then there's only one service who has Jeremiah Charles ranked, and that's on 3. We invite you to join the show. You can do that by grabbing the link in the chat. We'll do it right here. And we will give you an opportunity to call us here at the Voice of College Football. Cole is asking, do you think Scott Frost could be a legitimate candidate for the Miami and Alabama offensive coordinator openings? Yes, this is why. When you look at the jump from assistant coach to coordinator, it's obviously a jump. The responsibility, being able to orchestrate and coordinate the entire side of the football versus just focusing on a positional unit, and it's more about developing players and technique and fundamentals at the position level. Then you jump up to coordinator, and you've got to orchestrate the entire deal and work with everyone, and then work with the position coaches and kind of be a mini boss over them to a certain extent, depending on how much autonomy the head coach gives you. Then you jump to head coach from coordinator, and it's a completely different job. You almost, in a sense, aren't a coach as the head coach. You are CEO of the football program. You are less coach and more CEO. So Scott Frost showed, at least at this stage of his career, he could not handle the CEO aspect of being a head coach at a major brand. But look at the work at Oregon, look at the work at UCF. From an offensive standpoint, you've got to think that he would be a legitimate candidate. I'm not saying that he would be the best candidate or that he would be necessarily the top candidate. Now, from a fit standpoint, you would have to think that Scott Frost would fit what Alabama's done in recent years, more so based on his track record and what he brought to UCF and Oregon than Mario Cristobal and what he wants to do at Miami. And speaking of offensive coordinators, of course, Miami has let go Josh Gaddis just recently, meaning in the last hour to 2 hours. And, of course, Iowa has produced the worst Big Ten offense for years and years and years and years. And there's much speculation considering that Josh Gaddis was the Michigan offensive coordinator in 2021 with great success with Cade McNamara at quarterback and Eric All at tight end. Those two have gone to Iowa. Maybe Josh Gaddis is headed toward Iowa City. We'll discuss with our guy Corey Brada at 6 p.m. Eastern time on our Iowa show. Again, we hope Greg's all right. We're not able to get in touch with him. And we had to move the show this week, again, from Tuesday to Friday. So we appreciate everybody's flexibility. We expect to be back in our regular time slot next Tuesday, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. I would also ask, as I did on the community page a few weeks ago, if there's anybody you would like to see here on the Nebraska channel or on any of the channels, please let me know if there's any writers, media personalities that you would like to see. Also, keep in mind that on the Oregon channel, we just released a player interview. Cody DeCambra is a top 25 safety in the country, signed with Oregon. I was able to track him down. I also got one of his teammates that we'll be doing an interview with here soon. I have reached out to all of the current signees and enrollees in the Nebraska class. I see that, William, Adam Carricker, we will do our best. So I've reached out to all the current signees for Nebraska, and I hope to get responses and to bring them on for interviews. So if you have any connections with Nebraska players, past or present, any of the signees in particular right now, definitely let us know, and we'll use that leverage to bring them on. Dean Hart 6 says Miami maybe, Bama not likely, considering Scott Frost is arguably the worst coach to grace the sidelines in centuries. Again, as a head coach, you've got an argument, not as a coordinator. Two different deals. Just like Jeremy Pruitt, probably in that top 5 to 10 echelon of coordinators on the defensive side in college football. As a head coach, he ran amok and did a lot of stupid things and messed up the program as a head coach. But most likely, Jeremy Pruitt, he's already succeeded as a defensive coordinator at Alabama. He may be headed back there because the power is out of the coordinator's hands in regards to screwing stuff up otherwise. Although there's always that possibility. You've got Matt Weiss as the Michigan offensive coordinator who did some nefarious things that went way beyond screwing up from a football standpoint, and allegedly, based on the allegations and the actions taken by the University of Michigan, did some illegal things. William, we appreciate your comments, and we will take those into consideration regarding other, again, writers, personalities that we can bring on the show. Whether that be for a one-time stint or a regular basis, we always keep that in mind. We want to make these shows as good as possible. We understand the situation here at the Voice of College Football, where I'm knocking out 25 team channels, including the main channel, and we are drawing from a number of different sources. And we know that you go to other sites and other sources for Nebraska talk and for Nebraska information. Truth be known, we are not going to be number one in terms of getting the information to you first and foremost, but we want to be the best when it comes to discussion, debate, analysis, and having different perspectives, mine and others, and bringing those perspectives all together right here at the Voice of College Football. Yes, Ted, player interviews would be cool. They are difficult to round up for a number of reasons. Cole is asking, with Nebraska sitting at 101 scholarship players, is this common among other programs? I am trying to think. There was a number that I saw out there for, what team was that? We had this conversation the other day. Somebody is way over that. So I don't believe that figure is uncommon. Now, what they're going to do about it, I don't know. But they've got a lot of leniency in play right now because of COVID and other factors. That was not the case a couple years ago. We've got our buddy Alan joining the show. Appreciate that. Joining here at the Voice of College Football. Alan, how you doing today?
How you doing, sir?
Doing just fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I heard that they picked a walk-on linebacker. I'm sorry, a fullback, rather. They got a kid to sign just the other day. I don't have his name, but I guess one of his uncles used to play for the team back in the 90s. So it's kind of a new walk-on that they picked up. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if you heard that or not.
I did not. I saw your comment on that. I did not see that.
So that's kind of exciting because they're going to run a fullbacker. So
I know many of you are very happy about that.
Well, I mean, if you remember the '94 Miami game, the pass to the fullback twice to score the winning touchdown. Yeah, it's part of Nebraska history.
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, it's actually part of everybody's history. Everybody was running a fullback in 1994.
Yeah,
but
now no one runs them.
Yeah, almost nobody. But they're going to integrate it into the offense, and I don't see any reason why they can't be successful to a certain degree. I just think you have to run offensive football a little bit different today than you did years and years ago.
Yeah, and the numbers you guys were talking about, they had another, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple were talking about this earlier, and they said it doesn't mean anything until August 1st is when they have to have the 85 players. And we're going to have some people leave in the spring after spring ball because they're realizing they're not going to make it. And then, of course, they're going to add more people. So it'll all come out. And then they're going to have to do some magic with the 1890 group for the NIL. So some people who are on scholarship will switch over to NIL money. How they, that's all how the magic they do that.
Yeah, but not okay. I gotcha. And have a walk-on status?
Right. They would be they'd be a preferred walk-on. Correct. Yeah. That's what they call it, and that's what they're doing.
Well, Alan, we've got Greg here. You can stay on the line if you've got a question for Greg, but we want to get Greg his time, especially since we're running out of time. So, Greg, can you hear us?
Yep.
There he is. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Hey, sorry, man. I thought you meant 5 o'clock my time.
No, sir.
My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. So we want to get this time in as much as possible with Alan. I think we'll let you go. We've got quite the reverb going with all three of us on here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate that, Alan. Yeah, Greg, I thought I'd pull up the three. So those are the three commits from this week. And I just kind of ran through the numbers on these guys. And, of course, obviously, Matt Rule is going for speed.
Absolutely.
Have you had a chance to look at any of these guys?
I've watched their film. mean, obviously, like you're saying, all speed guys. That's what Matt Rule goes after, and that's what he's been landing. I mean, the 4-star in Demetrius Bell, who he's a burner, and you keep adding. You've been adding wide receivers like crazy. Jeremiah Charles is another one here as of late, and you add some tight ends as well. So big fast guys as well, and you see a trend here. And Matt Rule hasn't made any hasn't hit any of that. He knows what he's after, and he's going to go develop these guys and give them a chance to play at the next level.
Then we also have Eric Gilbert, who we've talked about a little bit. 35 catches, freshman All-American 2020. LSU has had quite the journey through the SEC from LSU to Florida, where he was only in school for 3 to 4 weeks. Don't even know if he enrolled at school. Anyway, landed at Georgia, didn't see the field much, has had apparently some off-the-field issues that we don't want to speculate about, whether that's academic or otherwise. But an extremely talented player that Matt Rule's getting is the number 1 tight end in the country coming out of high school.
Yeah, and like we talked about, Matt Rule goes in there and he sells himself, he sells the program, and he's got that track record of winning it everywhere he's been in college. So you got ample opportunities for guys like that, like an Eric Gilbert, to come in here and see the field right away and become a big contributor to what Nebraska's trying to do. And obviously the job won't be his as he steps on campus, but you like the competition that they're going to have in that room now for a position that's been pretty strong here. Where Nebraska's put, I don't know, their last 3 tight ends are all playing in the NFL right now. So, you love seeing this. You've added 2 former 5-stars as well, and you've bumped up your recruiting class up to 27th in the country, and you see the emphasis they've been going after. They're getting commits from the next class already. Hosting events every weekend, and you see the push that they're making on one Dylan Raiola right now, where you have 9 coaches in Chandler, Arizona right now. I don't know if Dominic is hosting a sleepover down there, for Uncle Donnie there and his gang, but and with the recent interviews with Dominic Raiola that On3 did, you see how much Nebraska's in the picture, with the number 1 player in the country for 2024. So pretty impressive what they're doing. And Matt Rule was the first head coach to make his in-home visit with Dylan Raiola as well. So you see how involved Nebraska is with this, and which could be a game changer if you land a guy like that, where obviously, his dad thinks of Nebraska as family, and Uncle Donnie's coaching there, and the Raiola family has a love affair with the University of Nebraska, and Dylan Raiola has basically said that it's pretty much between Nebraska, Georgia, USC, and Oregon right now, and obviously what you get with those 3 other programs, and you get a chance to come to Nebraska and be a program changer, really. I mean, be responsible maybe for turning around Nebraska. And that's what his dad calls Nebraska a sleeping giant. And you see the kind of effort. I mean, nobody else's entire coaching staffs are down watching a quarterback here in January of he hasn't even started his junior year yet. So Nebraska making huge waves here recruiting, and you got Matt Rule bouncing around the 500-mile radius around here as well, offering some of the top players in this region as well, and making his presence known. In Missouri and in Iowa and in Colorado and so forth and so on. So you got to really like, what Matt Rule and his staff have really begun to put together here, and not to mention hitting the state of Texas now hard and heavy. And obviously there's some connections with the state of Georgia as well. So all things look great right now, and it's full court press time. And the dead period starts here January 30th, and signing day is next Wednesday on the 2nd, and then you get a little bit of coaches take a break for a little while before spring ball starts up here.
Yeah, as you outline that, I'm trying to picture 9 coaches walking in the front door, but that definitely shows commitment. That shows that, hey, we're all in, and we are all devoting our time for the next day or two to you and getting to know you and continue the relationship, build a relationship. And that's even on the defensive side of the ball. Hey, we all want to come see you, meet you, spend time with you, show that you're important to us. So if nothing else, hey, it might overwhelm a young man, but Dylan Raiola, I've got to think, has a ton of confidence. So that's not an issue, but that it definitely shows the commitment. And, I can't imagine that those 9 coaches are going to leave and Dylan Raiola is going to have a doubt how much Nebraska wants him.
Absolutely. And what happens when, a high profile recruit like that, as a number 1 player in the country, once he does commit to a school, you see dominoes start to fall as well. As that's such an attraction to a lot of other high profile players that say, hey, you know what, I want to go play with him. So that's why you see all those position coaches down there. You see the offensive coordinator, you see the defensive coordinator, running backs, wide receivers, the whole shebang, linebackers, defensive line coach, secondary coach. And it's just a full court press, like I was saying, that, Nebraska's all in on this, and obviously looking not just at Dylan Raiola, but seeing what other pieces to the puzzle that they can add, if they do land a player like Dylan Raiola.
That's why you see all the elation and emotion and joy from the coaching staff when they reel in somebody to that degree. Sure, it's about that player. It's about Dylan Raiola and all that he could bring, but exactly what Greg outlined there, because the impact of that you can't really determine, but that there's an impact and it's positive, because if you can get one guy like that, then it changes the game, and it just changes the perception of what the program's all about, what it's capable of doing with other top players in the country.
And Nebraska is not hiding what they're doing. Nebraska is proud of, how much they're going after a player like Dylan Raiola and the other top players around the country as well. So, you see Nebraska's name in there with, teams like Ohio State and Florida and Georgia, offering all these top guys. So, but that's nothing new. Nebraska's always had to do that anyway.
All right, folks, if you've just joined us, you can definitely catch the rest of the show as it will post here soon. We talked Eric Gilbert. We talked the 3 commitments from this week. We talked, obviously, Greg outlined Dylan Raiola and the big contingent of coaches that are headed down to Chandler, Arizona there now, and looking to secure that relationship, we will say, and that commitment as we come up on, we still have 10 months to get there in regards to that being signed and sealed and delivered. But it's our Nebraska show each and every Tuesday. We had to do some changes this week because of my personal issues and plans,
in my
family situation and so forth.
Stupidity of time zones.
So we are good. We've done this 108 weeks, folks. So we've been on the mark on Tuesday at 7 Eastern and 6 Central, like just about every week. So we do appreciate it. You guys subscribe and hit the bell for the notifications to know when we go live. That way you get the notification for those weeks that we do have to switch it up. All right, Greg, appreciate you being here as always.
Hopefully it's back to the regular time so I know what time we're going.
We will be back on time. I can't promise anything. You never know what's going to happen last second, but we believe we should be ready to roll
Well,
on
I
next
definitely
Tuesday.
feel incredibly stupid coming in here, 45 minutes late or whatever. But
you know what? I'm the guy that sends out the notifications, and I can always fly by Eastern time because that's where I am. And it's the rest of you guys like yourself that have to make that adjustment. So, hey, I've done it a million times myself where I've been like, oh, shoot, I added that up wrong or I looked at that wrong.
For
So
some
we've all
reason-
done it.
yeah, for some reason it was in my head 5 o'clock, and I could have gone back and looked at your message just to make sure, but I did not do that. So it's all my fault.
Hey, man, you've delivered 108 times, so no worries there for sure. But folks, if you want to go make fun of the enemy or hear what's going on with Iowa, we've got our Iowa show starting in about 2 minutes over on the Iowa channel, and possible rumblings at the offensive coordinator position there. So you can head us on over to the well, they need an offensive. Well, they don't need one. They've got one employed, but they need somebody who can run an offense that's going to score more than 10 points a game.
Yes, they do. So
All right, Greg, appreciate it, man.
France has some decisions to make.
Yes. All right, Greg. Great to see you. Glad everything's good.
And also keep your eye this weekend. Nebraska's hosting several more visitors this weekend. So, the role that they're on, I wouldn't put it past them to be adding some more pieces to the puzzle for the 2023 class this weekend.
Okay, everyone. We can see you in a couple minutes if you want to head to the Iowa channel. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next Tuesday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central.